Hello everybody, welcome to episode 18 of Empire of the Full Moon. I'm your host, Mike Cadaver. How is everybody today? It is Friday and I'm a little bit late on this, but I'll tell you what, I'm excited to be talking about the movie that we're going to be talking about today, which is Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich from 2018. Now, you may be asking yourself, you know what, Empire of the Full Moon, obviously it's where I talk about all of Charles Band's work, and he's known for his Puppet Master series. Why haven't I covered any of the classic films yet? And why are you going into The Littlest Reich, which is kind of an exception to the rule here, especially if we're talking about the Puppet Master movies. But to that, I say, I have no idea. I literally just saw a scene from this movie and wanted to revisit it, since I've seen all the classics over and over again since I watched this one last time. This came out in 2018, and I feel like that's probably about the last time I watched it, or maybe a year after that, 2019, maybe 2020. But yeah, so we're going to do that today. But before we get into that, do me a favor. I'm trying to make you happy with these videos. All right, guys. And maybe you can make me a little bit happy. Okay, subscribe to this YouTube channel, or if you're watching on Rumble or wherever you are, follow me on all of the other social medias. If you go to social.corpsecollective.com, they're all there, and I will follow you back. And let's just make this world a little bit better for everyone. Okay, how about that? Okay. So let's get into it, shall we? This is the 13th movie out of 15 Puppet Master movies. Here is a quick image to show you all of those. This is a lot different, though, because in this one, André Toulon is evil. Andre, that's weird. Toulon is played in this one by Udo Kier. And it's crazy because he is just an awful human being in this one. So in essence, there's a scene before the credits, and he goes into this bar. He's looking all rough and gross, but let there be no doubt that he is bad in this, and there's no like moral ambiguity or anything like that in this one. He is bad. And this kind of sets up the movie, sets us up to understand what's going to happen. And if that weren't enough information in the beginning, the beginning of or during the credits, there's some cool art. It shows art, depicting scenes of Toulon's life where he actually uses the puppets to go after and kill people for the Nazis. And when I say people, I mean the people that the Nazis killed. So yeah, he's basically doing the Nazis' bidding, and it is wild. So in the other ones, in the other Puppet Master series, André Toulon has been portrayed as being benevolent and like a good man, right? In number 3, we have him and his wonderful wife, and they're working together, and they're doing a satire puppet show against Hitler and all that stuff. But in this one, in the first part I was talking about, with the images, basically he's such a bad man that his wife jumped ship on the boat from Nazi Germany to the United States, where they're escaping, and commit suicide. Anyway, all right. Let's see. So he is the 5th person to play Udo Kier. The first time was William Hickey in 1989 in the original Puppet Master. Puppet Master 2, we had Steve Wells, and this was an interesting one too, because he wasn't evil necessarily, but he was kind of a weird guy. He was just kind of I don't know. I didn't trust him that much. That's the one where he was all wrapped up in bandages, stuff like that. Probably my favorite Puppet Master, André Toulon, was Guy Rolfe. He was in Puppet Master 3 through 5 from 1991, 1993, and 1994, respectively. He was like a good guy. I loved this one. William Hickey did great, but he wasn't really in it too long. He was, in fact, he was just the first part of the original. So to me, Guy Rolfe is kind of André Toulon. And I'll always have him, especially even though I love Udo Kier and his acting prowess and all that stuff. Not a good guy in this, like I said. Finally, Retro Puppet Master in 1999, Greg Sestero played it, and that's a guy from The Room. Oh, hi, Mock. But anyway, so the others, the ones that came after Puppet Master, the Retro Puppet Master, only had Toulon in flashbacks. So, yeah, this is totally different than those ones at all. And so Also, many of the articles about this movie call it some kind of reimagining or being some kind of reboot. This was only released 1 year after Puppet Master Axis Termination, which was released in 2017. But yeah, in the thing is too, is this was produced, by a different company. Charles Band was the executive producer. Richard Band did a song and on it, but that it was called The Origins of the Puppet Master, which is kind of a take on the original Puppet Master theme, but it's different, and I think it's really cool. But anyways, this was produced by the Bonaventure Pictures and Cinestate under Fangoria's label, so you'll see that Fangoria logo as it starts up. It's difficult to look for exact budget numbers, but this one had a little bit bigger of a budget than some of the other ones. Like it was said between about 1 and 3. I've read about 2.5 million, but I don't know. It seems this does also have a different look and feel to it. I mean, it's actually got somebody in it that I recognized before in the a couple people, but I guess the only other person I recognized was oh shoot, I forget her name now, but she was in Reanimator. Barbara Crampton, oh my gosh, how did I forget that? But she was in the original, and she's in this, the only person that was in this that was in the original. But we also have, and you'll see, and I'll talk about him later, Thomas Lennon, who was actually in things like, he's more of a comedic guy, Reno 911, all that kind of stuff. Anyways, Fabio Frizzi is credited with the score, and me and him are buddies. Like, me and him are tight. He and I were on the same episode of The Last Drive-In. I mean, he was a guest on the show, played some songs, stuff like that, and my letter got read on the mailbag section. Is that that's basically, we're brothers after that, right? So anyway, okay, so shoot, I got a lot of intro on this one, but the puppets that were used in this one, we have Blade, Pinhead, Tunneler. There's a couple of Torch puppets, but they were called Kaiser, which I'm not exactly sure how that fits. But we have a Happy Amphibian, a Baby Hitler who has one of the greatest gross kills of all time, and this has some wicked kills. There was a guy that kind of looked like an old school gas pump. I call him Oil Guy. There was a guy that flew around. He went around with his little helicopter prop and would cut people's necks with it. I think I saw a beaver puppet with a tunneler head and a weird Jew caricature, like the moneylender is what they call them. And oh yeah, okay. They all look really great, but they were different. They didn't look like the old ones, especially, obviously the ones that are classics like Blade, Pinhead, and Tunneler. They were a little bit, and so yeah, there you go. This one was over the top silly, mostly because of its kills, and there's a lot of just like silliness in it, but it was much meaner in tone. The kills, the motivation for kills, and but there were a good balance of morality. I mean, there was no ambiguity to how evil Udo Kier was as André Toulon. But at the same time, it stayed fun. It didn't get too preachy. I'm not, I don't watch horror movies a lot of times to get political, but this one was it's too black and white. That's why they make World War II video games, because it's pretty black and white as opposed to, like a Vietnam video games. And I don't even know if there are. How about this? I'm going to stop talking for a minute, and then we're going to play a trailer, and we'll come back to talk about Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich.
Warning. This motion picture is one of the most violent films ever made. There are 21 scenes of puppet violence and sadistic cruelty graphically shown. The content and subject matter may be upsetting for those under 18, those with weak hearts, and those of delicate nature.
This cellar workshop is where André Toulon manufactured puppets. It is unclear how many of these puppets were made, though 60 or so of them are expected to be in Postville by tomorrow for the auction.
That's not mine. Don't really know how that got here.
Maybe it walked.
Hello. Jesus. Well, you definitely seem like a toy that a maniac would make.
What the?
Why would anybody create a Nazi puppet?
They're little, they're fast. Anne Frank was hiding in her attic. Puppet could find her.
Don't ask.
All right, you just saw the trailer, Puppet Master: The Littlest Reich. 2018, IMDb gives us a 5.4. Directed by a trio of Sonny Laguna, Tate Steinsick, and Tommy Wiklund. Not a ton of stuff that I know from these guys, but it looks like Tommy Wiklund and Sonny Laguna work together a lot. However, Tate Steinsick directed the remake of Castle Freak from 2020. I talked about that in a previous episode, the one where I talked about the original Castle Freak. I mentioned that a little bit, and the differences between the two films, and the good parts, but the bad parts. This was written by Kenneth Hall, 18 writing credits, including Puppet Master: The Game. Apparently there was a Puppet Master video game from 2023 that I have no idea. I have to check that out. But he also wrote Test Tube Teens from the year 2000 and 1994. Also written by S. Craig Zahler, who has 7 writing credits, but he's got a lot of great ones and a lot of like gritty ones. Bone Tomahawk 2015, Drag Against Concrete 2018, Brawl in Cell Block 99 from 2017. All amazing movies and like really brutal. So anyway, let's get into it. This starred Thomas Lennon as Edgar Easton, Jenny Pelsier as Ashley Summers, Nelson Franklin as Markowitz, Charlene Yee as Narissa, and this is the only person I had a problem with. She was too bizarre to play a love interest for anyone. Anyways, that was rude. Michael Paré is Detective Brown. I love Michael Paré and basically everything he's in. Skeeta Jenkins is Cuddly Bear, and you know his name's Cuddly Bear because he says the words Cuddly Bear as he speaks in third person, and it's great. Barbara Crampton is Carol Dureski, and obviously Udo Kier is André Toulon. Here's the plot. The story centers on Edgar Easton, a down-on-his-luck comic book artist who is going through a divorce. He moves back into his childhood home, stumbles upon an old eerie puppet in its deceased brother's belongings. Curious about its origin, Edgar learns that it is one of many puppets created by André Toulon, a mysterious figure tied to a series of gruesome murders in the late 1980s. These killings, dubbed the Toulon murders, were never fully solved, and Toulon himself became something of a mythic figure among horror aficionados. Edgar decides to bring the puppet to a convention being held at a hotel in Pottsville, Texas, to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Toulon murders. He's joined by his new girlfriend, Ashley, and his annoying but surprisingly adept in the extreme metal genre, best friend, Markowitz. The convention draws all sorts of collectors, oddballs, and puppet enthusiasts, many of whom who have brought their own Toulon puppets to be appraised, shown off, and sold. And there was like a wild set of characters. We had the porno-looking couple, we had the Jewish couple, like the caricature Jewish couple, the lesbian couple, the gypsy, the weird single guy who gets dispatched real great, and the pregnant lady who dies in fantastic fashion. But what starts as a fun-time weekend getaway eventually descends into bloody chaos. During the first night, the puppets inexplicably come to life and launch into a savage, coordinated killing spree. There's no goodness in them. This, like I said, the iteration of Toulon is mirrored in these puppets. They specifically target individuals based on race, religion, and sexual orientation, turning the film into just kind of a mean ass, kind of really, way meaner than any of the other Puppet Masters. But at least there's not, like I said, I've said this word 3 times. We know what the moral is. We know who the good guys are. We know who the bad guys are. And, so we don't get any of this, ambiguity. That's it. I said it the 3rd time. As the body count rises, Edgar, Ashley, and Markowitz struggle to survive and uncover what is reanimating the puppets. They learn the secret about Toulon and why the puppets behave the way they do. Will Edgar, Ashley, and Markowitz escape with their lives? Are any of these boobs shown in here not super fake? Do you know what it's like to have so few options for love interests that you'll just choose the one you would never choose if there was more candidates? Again, that's rude. Find out by watching Puppet Master: The Littlest Reich from 2018. I'll tell you what, I apologize for that last question, but I mentioned that I do not like one character in this, and it's like Markowitz is trying to find a nice, hot little piece. Narissa shows up and makes this movie awkward, and she's the only available option, so I guess it'll make do. But my goodness, she was just weird and awkward, and I don't know. I mean, she's probably real nice in real life, but this character was just like, oh, brother, okay, you're making me feel weird, lady. I'm not trying to feel awkward here, but you have done that. So this movie had its debut in the Overlook Film Festival 2018. It's been released on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K. So it runs the gamut. Is that a word, gamut? But you know, Lenin, who has a very dry humor in this, and there's some humor from Markowitz, and it's actually it's weird because the topics are so dark, and the kills are so mean, and Toulon is so mean, but there's still a lot of humor, and I thought it was great. Even with Barbara Crampton, she was really funny in this. I mean, you have to look out for it, but I really liked it. I liked all the characters. There was a couple of scenes where it got a little weird, like maybe the editor should have cut a little too soon. Lenin's kiss scenes were always a little weird looking, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. There's a lot of great kills, like I said. The pregnant lady was brutal, especially compared to other entries in the series. There's some potentially offensive things said. I mean, not to me because I'm old, but I think maybe for the kiddos it is. They seem to be more offended, but we grew up watching Blazing Saddles and all sorts of other fun stuff too, so who cares? We're good. Anyway, I do love the new mythos. The producers have said that this is kind of they pulled a Marvel, which I do not like about the Marvel universe, how they can just say, oh, this is another thread of a universe, and this is the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, so writing doesn't matter. We can be lazy as we want, but that's kind of what they said, that Toulon is so evil. He controls the puppets in a different way. I think it's a really cool look and feel the way he does that too. It's a lot different than any of the other ones. Anyways, this movie I really enjoyed. It's got a 5.4 on the IMDb, which is very different, which is a lot more than typically a lot of these Full Moon and Empire pictures will have. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was still dark, but I don't know. I say go check it out. Sorry to the girl who played Nerissa. You were awkward and you weirded me out a bit. Well, other than that, it's great. And that's all I got. Okay, so go ahead, do me a favor, go to thecorpsecast.com, subscribe, tell your friends, but that's all I got, guys. So appreciate you watching once again. We'll catch you later.